Товарищи, граждане, братья и сестры, бойцы нашей армии и флота, к вам обращаюсь я, друзья мои. Вероломные военные нападения гитлеровской Германии на нашу родину, начатые 22 июня, продолжается. Несмотря на героическое сопротивление Красной Армии, несмотря на то, что лучшие дивизии врага и лучшие части его авиации уже разбиты и нашли себе могилу, на полях сражения враг продолжает лезть вперед, бросая на фронт новые силы. Над нашей Родиной нависла
темная ночь, только пули свистят по степи, только ветер гудит в проводах, тускло звезды мерцают. В темную ночь ты, любимая, знаю, не
As the war was fought throughout Europe and the German war machine raged on, its eyes fell upon one country in specific, the Soviet Union. On June 22nd, 1941, Operation Barbarossa was started and the Soviet Union was invaded.
как я люблю.
Women were not allowed to fight on the front lines for their country. The most they could do was get a factory job at this point. But that was until a group of pilots, known as the Night Witches. Night Witches were a group of young women ranging from the age of 17 to 25. They were known as the 588th Night Bomber Regiment, and they were led by Soviet pilot Colonel Maria Roshkova. Maria Roshkova had made a name for herself, being known as the Russian Amelia Earhart. She was the first woman to be a navigator for the Soviet Air Force. She was born on the 28th of March 1912 and joined the Air Force in 1941. At the age of 29, she was wanting to make a name for herself, and she saw an opportunity. She was given orders by Joseph Stalin, who she had made friends with, in fact, to create 3 female-only air squads. The most well-renowned out of all of them was the 588th Night Bomber Regiment, more commonly known as the Night Witches. And 400 women in their late teens to early 20s moved to Angels, where they started training to become pilots. Though they were working on crunch time, having to learn years of training in a few short months, whilst having to battle misogyny from the men they worked alongside. Women were not as highly respected as the men, so they were given ill-fitting uniforms from the men, and the boots were also oversized, commonly having to be stuffed with bedding just to make them fit. As for the planes provided, they were 1920 crop dusters known as Polikarpov of PO-2 biplanes. Biplanes had a strict weight limit, so the women had to sacrifice their parachutes, radar, or radios, and altitude, forcing them to have to fly low to the ground to meet the weight requirement. Planes, which had been used mainly just for training, were only made from canvas and plywood. These disadvantages caused the odds to be stacked against them, so they needed something to stack the odds in their favor. Seeming like a disadvantage at first, the much slower speed of the biplanes were actually quite a benefit, because the much faster German planes at the time were unable to maneuver as quickly and as efficiently as the smaller biplanes. Because of their speed, they had to make much larger turns to try and do a very quick and easy turn for the biplanes, giving the Night Witches a much easier time to escape. The way that the Night Witches would fly is in a triangular formation. 2 planes would be in front and 1 plane would be in the back. The 2 planes in the front would be there to distract any searchlights that would be searching for them, and the 1 plane in the back would cut their engine, creating that infamous swooshing sound of a broom, giving them their name, the Night Witches. They would gently glide right there in the quiet of night, and then 1 bomb per wing, dropping them. The Germans didn't know where they were coming from, and it was silent. Then suddenly, explosion, another one, gone. These runs would be done about 18 times per night, leaving the Germans sleep-deprived and frightened. Success that they had did lead to rumors, of course, such as 2 that came from the Germans. The first one being that the women were all criminals brought to the front lines to fight, being thieves. The second one being the fact that they were on a cocktail of drugs, making it so that they could see at night, and that's how they could cut their engines, have no lighting, and be able to find them. The second theory wasn't exactly wrong. They were, in fact, on a small mixture of drugs to help them stay awake during the night bombing runs. But that had a side effect, where the women could not actually go to sleep even when they came back. So they ended up running off of 3 to 4 hour naps every day. Outside the bombing runs, the women did actually find themselves indulging in things such as patchwork, working on their planes and decorating them, painting flowers and names on the planes. And they would also use the pencils that they were given to mark down on their bombing routes, such as eyeliner commonly. Bombing runs were the worst of it. They had to deal with freezing cold, usually getting into the negatives in most nights due to the Russian winter. Or the metal that they had on the planes could get to the point where if they touched it with their bare hands, it would rip off skin. But yet they still put up through all of it. All the women were heroes. Not many of them got truly recognized. Only a few gained the title of Hero of the Soviet Union. But the majority of them got nothing. And they were not allowed to have their planes in the military parade that happened after the war. They were claimed to be too slow to have in the parade.
Спишь под фанерною звездой. Вставай, вставай, однополчан.